Alright, welcome back to the Engine Light. This week I'm here again in my truck, and the code that rolled is a P0521, which is an engine oil pressure switch circuit. Now there's tons of videos on these codes out here for my truck. I have a 13 Sierra. I know if you have a Silverado Sierra with a 5.3, it's a pretty common code. A lot of them say, you know what, just throw a sensor on there. But I did that last year, the code came back on, and my oil pressure dips when it gets a little low. So there could be a few things for that. Follow along if you're interested to see what's going to happen. Okay, so ignore the tire light. But yeah, oil pressure's starting to sink as it warms up. Okay, it comes up. That's in kPa. Down here on my scanner though, we have it listed in PSI. And that's not terrible. Okay, but it's going to dip lower as I drive further. Let me pull this truck into the shop, well, my garage, lift it up, and we'll have a look at what causes these codes, because I'm going to have to check the electrical wiring just to make sure it's good. Then I'm going to take out my engine oil pressure switch. I'll show you the bad one I changed last year, clean out the screens, do an oil change. We'll see if the pressure changes. All right, follow along. Okay, so that 521 code, right? Engine oil pressure switch. It's skewed data. So what it could be set by is if it sees engine oil pressure outside of calibration. Makes sense, right? So either approximately 7 psi lower or 7 psi higher than a calibrated value. So the engine's programmed in to know, or the computer's programmed in to know, at a certain RPM, a certain temperature, this is the expected oil pressure it should see. And it's not like a bang-on number. There's a range. It's outside that range. Like I said, either 7 high or 7 low for more than about 4 seconds. It'll set that code. Mine cleared and went into history. All right. Now, after I've changed that switch before, and I got it right here, it looks like this. That's an EOP switch, or an engine oil pressure switch, right? Little pressure transducer in there, and it's a 3-wire. I don't think it'll focus on that. So that means that there's ground, a sensor wire, and a 5-volt reference. Why is it 5 and not 12? Because the engine control module in this setup in most GM vehicles will send out 5 volts to its sensors. Right? It uses a regulator to do that, and there's a couple sensors on each circuit that are all, wired in parallel. So, how does it work? Well, when you have high oil pressure, you'll have about 4 volts returning to the ECM. And when you have low oil pressure, it'll go down from there. Okay, so it's going to go down to 1. 1 is low, 4 is high pressure, and the varying ranges in between. Why doesn't it go 0 or 5? Well, there has to be a way for the computer to determine codes, right? So if it's unplugged or if the wire's cut, well, it's going to see 0 back, or if it's shorted to voltage, we're going to see 5 back. So it's used for diagnostic reasons. Okay, we need to see codes. The computer can only see it if it's open or shorted, right? And in this case, it's calling it skewed data. So there's a ton of videos out there telling you, just change this. But underneath it, there's a screen. There is a screen that goes into the intake manifold, and in my case I have displacement on demand, right? So it's called a VLOM, and there is a filter in there that needs to be changed when you change this, right? So if you don't change your filter, it could be blocked, and that could be the whole issue. Now the other issue could be is electrically screwed up, but since it comes and goes right now, and it seems to be, it's not an electrical issue. When the truck starts up cold, as it warms up, my oil pressure goes down. So that is actually a better signal that there's something mechanical going on, such as my oil pump. If it is, that's going to lead to a couple series of videos, because I'll have to take off the oil pan, my front differential, front cover, and then we'll have to change that engine oil pump. Be a good video though. A lot of work in here on the ground, and it's wet, damp, spring, everything's wet. Ugh. I gotta lie on the ground. But what I'm going to do right now is I was thinking of testing everything electrically, but it's really difficult to get in there, and I don't have a screen to replace it when I take the switch out anyway. I'm going to change my engine oil and filter. Why? Because the filter can go bad and can cause this issue too. Filter pressure and the area where this pressure is measured, two different things. Okay? So every oil filter will have a drain back feature and a bypass valve, and if those start to gum up, because we use synthetic oil now, so we're going 6 months in between oil changes sometimes, it goes a little bad on me. And I'm using a PF48, right, which the trucks originally had a long one on there, but I bought an AC Delco. I prefer usually using OEM parts, even my oil filters, but I like Delco filters, right? The PF48 Gold. Use this on Corvettes, so it's got a good pedigree, but the reason I want this is the bypass pressures open easier. So if my filter did jam up, I'm getting oil up to my sensor and the rest of my engine without starving everything. Okay, so let's change the oil. If it goes bad, I'll have to dig deeper. Since I already changed this. If you didn't already change this and you have a 521 code, change that sensor. Alright? But get the screen that goes below it. Must change that too. And they're in a rough area. And if this thing does come to the point where I've got to pull off my oil pump, well, I'll have to change the screen anyway because I'm sure there's metal in it. Alright, let's do an oil change first.
Better spot. Now, I usually leave the jack there. On a safety stand, the jack's close by. Because if everything goes to shit, if it does fall on me, at least, at least rescue doesn't have to do as much work to get the jack off my body, the car off me. It sounds terrible, but okay, I'm going to loosen this right off and pull it out at the last second and hopefully keep my hand clean. Oh, there we go. All right. Well, it just looks like oil. Smells gassy though. Now you remember, I don't know if you can see me. Oh, look at my bald head, eh? Yeah, I don't know if you can see that whole thing. Okay, so anyway, if you remember, I changed an O2 sensor on this thing and it was running a little rich. So, I have a feeling there's an awful lot of gas in my oil. It might have just been thinned out, right? Can that cause a 521 code? Sure can. It's not always a sensor. Sensors determine problems, okay? So it's not like, plug it into Google, you got a number, change this part. It doesn't work that way. There's usually a reason. Sometimes it works that way, but I'm not that lucky. So usually there's a reason for it, okay? We'll let that drain real good. I don't see any shininess in the oil. It just smells, ooh, it's gonna tip out. It just smells gassy, really gassy. And I got that dirty now. I'm gonna rinse it off with dirty oil. It's pouring good too. That's thin. That's thinned out. Definitely due for an oil change. And good enough. I feel it by hand. There it is. Clean the end. Make sure there's no sand. Yep, you're gonna get dirty. Okay. Changing oil is not a clean job. That's why you pay people to do it. Alright, and tighten that on. But it doesn't have to be wrenched on for life, just a couple snugs, right? Click. That's good enough. That's all the tightening we need right there. That's good. Okay, filter. Don't laugh, but I have to jack up the truck. Not too long ago, I was lying under here without a creeper, and I'm not a skinny guy. I got stuck. Yeah, I got stuck. Laugh away. My wife did. I call her for help. She's up there chuckling away. Ah, there it is. I can't actually see what I'm doing. I'm just going by feel right now. That's good enough. So, like everything else, it's going to be messy. I've already seemed to have a pretty big oil leak anyway, which might be part of my cause too, but my leak is transmission fluid. I'm pretty sure anyway. My luck, it's probably the rear main seal, but anyway. Now, this is a claw wrench. You don't need this, but I know where I put my strap wrench. The strap wrench is better because these 5.3 oil pans are really recessed. You know, I always use a short filter now. The long filters, you could grab it with a cup or by your hand, but the shorter ones, the 48s, they're hard to get your hand on. Well, there it's going. So we'll spin that a bit more. We'll let it drain out. Now, take some of this dirty oil, right? Where's my seal? Oh shit! That's bad. I'll knock that out. Where did I put my new filter? Ah, there it is. Okay. Hopefully you can see this. Take that seal and put oil on it. Okay, that way it doesn't lock itself to the bottom of the block and basically burn on, and you'll never get the damn thing off. Oh, you'll get it off, but you're gonna fight. Now the other thing is to make sure the old rubber seal comes off with that old filter. Oh, come on, there we go. And did it come off? Sure did. There it is. And I'm still going to feel the mating surface, even though I'm getting oil down my coat. Make sure it's good and clean. And it is. You got to not mind getting a little bit of oil on your hands. There we go. And we'll spin that one back on. This truck needs a lot of work. Every time I come under here, I find something else that's broken or leaking. Okay, let's give it a wipe. Move this over. Gotta get my arm under there and give it one little tweaky tweak. Oh, that's gonna leak. I gotta get the spin on around the filter. The band wrench, I should say. So I definitely need more room in here, but anyway, strap wrench, filter wrench. You don't need a lot of force on an oil filter, but I cannot, for the life of me, get my hand up there to tighten it. You can do something naughty and use a tool to tighten an oil filter, which, you know, you make it snug and then give it a quarter turn, but I can't get my hand up there. So there's the quarter turn. Perfect. You know, it works just like that. Okay, down he comes. Now, I can't can't find my
oil filter, so or oil funnel, so we're using a trans funnel. No big deal, it'll work. All right, I'm going with the expensive stuff that I paid for myself. All right, let's pour it in. Dexos approved. Why Dexos approved? Oh, that's GM's oil preference. You know, and a lot of people say, hey, go up and wait. I don't want to. Because if I need to do a mechanical repair, I'll do the mechanical repair. But these engines are built to fairly tight tolerances. So I go with the recommendations. I know that my tolerances are probably worn, but I don't know that. I don't know what's going on inside my engine totally. I generally maintain this thing pretty good. You wouldn't know it. It's dirty. But it's in good shape otherwise. So I'm not going to put something in there just because that's what we did in the old day. This isn't an old day engine. Well, it looks like it's not flowing, or it's flowing nicer than the oil I took out of it. Certainly doesn't smell like gas. Which is in this thing? 5 liters, okay. Now I didn't fill the filter, all right? So when we're gonna have to start it and check it again. We also check for leaks when we do that too, right? Check for leaks, let the filter fill up. And I have another liter of this oil, so all good. Really coming down out there. Not pleasant weather anyway. My day off, but I need to drive to work in this truck. It's got to be running. All right, what do we got going on? Oh, it's so clean I can't see it. That's good. Wipe that off, and we'll give that a clean. Put it down the dipstick hole, let's see how it looks. Okay. Am I starting now? I can't even see it. I think it's somewhere around here. Wow, that's clean. Jesus. Oh yeah, we're good. Okay. My laneway's still on a slight hill too, right? My laneway's still on a slight hill. Pressure gauge. Up you go. There we go. We'll finish topping that up. I can't see it, but I know it's there. Just didn't run down yet. I know how much this one takes, so I'm just going to put in the mathematical amount, and I'm going to go with that. That's it, calibrated. Look at that. Okay, wipe it off one more time. Have a look. And whatever it is, I'm gonna start it. There's lots of oil in there. Oh, we're perfect. Look at that. We're right there at the 3/4 mark, so even as it settles down a little bit more, it'll sit here. Okay, in 10 minutes it'll be at the perfectly full. Which is good, because it buys me to my next tank of gas. Right? Then I gotta check my oil again, don't we?
What happens if we don't check our oil? We lose our engines. So I did my oil change because, well, it was due, really due, past due in fact, and I had a 521 code, right? So let's go see what that gauge says now, and then I'll give it a couple days of driving to see if it acts up again. If it does, well, I'll have to put an oil pump on it. But I'll order that on Monday, and this is a Friday. So let's go see. Follow me. Okay, let's watch that pressure gauge. Oh, looking good. Above 275 kPa. Let's see what that is on the scanner. Now, remember here, I do have a 13. I'm going to enter it as a 12 because I need to update the software on my scanner. I'm going to clear those history codes because they're not on right now. So I'll go to codes menu. I'm just clearing them. Yes. You'll notice that the code was still in history, right? Yeah, even if the code goes off, it goes into this thing called the freeze frame or failure record. So your last one will store there. Okay, there's none there right now because I just cleared them. But if you have a code that comes on and you're worried, oh, it just went off, and by the time I go to the garage, they're going to charge me, you know, it is there. They'll be able to see it. So last time we were sitting here and I watched my oil pressure go down. So this time, let's see what it looks like. It looks like it's holding a lot better than it did. Gotta scroll down. We're in closed status. Took care of that little problem last time we were here. Oh, look at that. Okay. Getting there. Oh, there we go. Engine oil level. Okay, okay. Oh, look at the pressure now. When we were idling earlier, it was what, 29? Now it's idling at 41, 42. So I think I might have had a problem with my old oil filter and just bad thin oil. Because look at that. That's the pressure we're supposed to be at for this engine. Okay? That's much better. I'm happy. I'll watch that over the next couple days. But I'm content to drive to work now. Okay, look at that. Oh, happy day. And it's going up nicely with everything that's going on. Okay, yeah, my tires. I gotta put air in my tires. I always do. Alright, thanks again for watching. I'll check back in with you after doing this oil change and see if I got to do more work on this P0521 code. It's not always an exact science, right? You got to try a few things first before you commit. Do the easy, simple things, right? Eliminate that. If a car won't start, does it have gas in it? All right, start with the simple stuff. Then move on to getting yourself real complicated and worrying about buying sensors and this, that, and the other thing. Because, you know, the sensor did report a code, but it reported a data issue, and you can also have, you know, low oil pressure causing it in this case, right? Low oil pressure is the cause. Why? You needed a change. Quite simple. All right. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.